Hey everybody, going to do a quick video here to talk about the basics of tent stakes. And basically I'm going to try to show you some of the choices and options that you have, and I'm going to suggest that if you have lousy tent stakes and you don't feel like or don't believe that you're going to be in a position where you can make your own stakes when you get where you're going, it's probably time to go shopping and buy yourself some better stakes. So this is something that most people learn through trial and error. They think, oh, well, I bought a tent. It comes with the stakes. The stakes are meant to go with this tent. Off I go. I'm going to go camping. And then they get out there and they find that their stakes are completely substandard, particularly if they've bought a relatively inexpensive tent. This is something that, frankly, manufacturers take advantage of unsuspecting consumers with. They don't package decent stakes with the tent, and then those people have horrible experiences when they go out and their tent falls over in the middle of the night because they don't have the proper stakes, and they're now trying to fashion stakes out of sticks in the middle of the night with their headlamp while the rain's coming down. Don't put yourself in that position. If you have lousy stakes, it's really not that expensive to go buy new ones. And so here we go. Let's get into the choices you have here. All right, the kind of tent stakes I'm talking about when I say you really need to replace your tent stakes, this is the prototype right here. These are very thin steel stakes. Now I can't quite bend this easily with my, oh, actually I did. Look at that. Yeah, there you go. That's how strong this thing is. So hard winds, rocks, whatever, you are going to be able to bend this pretty easily and possibly even break it if you try driving this into rocky soil, for example. Also, notice that the surface area, this is what's going to hold. You're going to stick this in the ground, and it's only the dirt, etc., right along this little narrow passage is going to be what holds the tent or the guy line in place. Because there's very little surface area, that means that there's very little holding power. These stakes are lousy. Just frankly, get rid of them. All right, now probably you're not going to see stakes like this if you open your tent stake bag. Even the cheap manufacturers are tending to go away from the plastic stakes. But if you end up with these, same problem, well, not exactly the same problem. These actually hold a little bit better because they've got a little more surface area, so you would have all of this flat part driving it. But the problem with plastic stakes is that they're just not durable enough for the task that you're asking them to accomplish. So you drive one of these into the ground and it hits a rock, it's going to crack. You smack it too hard with a rock or a hammer trying to get it into a place, it's going to probably crack off the top. Again, if these are the stakes that come out of your stake bag, it's time to go shopping. All right, so from there I move up. These are actually aluminum stakes. These are all right. This is sort of what I would say is sort of the minimum adequate kind of stake. These are relatively lightweight, but you can tell that they're a lot more burly, so they're much better suited for the task at hand. You're going to be able to these aren't going to just fold in your hands. I'm not going to be able to just, oh, whoops, bent that in half. No, that's not like that. They're definitely a little sturdier, and because they're thicker, again, a little more surface area, which gives them a little bit more holding power. Now, these are not great stakes by any means, but this is sort of getting into the, all right, you can probably get by with this, depending on really the conditions that you intend to use them. All right. So from there, I'm going to go to a series of stakes. None of these three sets of stakes, what I call amazing in terms of their holding power. These really are about backpackers who are trying to cut weight on the trail. And there's really two kinds of choices if you're interested in doing that. The first is to get these sort of lightweight aluminum stakes. These are better than the steel stakes. They do hold better and they are stronger, but you're going to want to be a little careful with these. These are not things you're going to want to abuse. You want to be careful on rocky soil. And notice again, you have more surface area here. So this is actually, this stake is going to hold a little bit better than some of those other stakes. Not amazingly well, but definitely better. And then here is a titanium version of basically the same thing. Now, titanium is of course stronger than both aluminum and steel, so you can make things which are even thinner than either of those materials, but just as strong. And so that's essentially what you have here, which is, this is the aluminum version, and here you can make it even lighter. This is the Toke's titanium stake. By the way, the string on the end of here actually has a purpose. That's so you can find your stakes again when it's time to pull them up. The lightest weight stakes around that I do use these occasionally if I know I'm going to be in, reasonably good weather and not have, expecting high winds or really challenging conditions. These are Vargo titanium stakes, and these are shepherd hook stakes. They don't have great holding power, again, because they're very thin, but it's not horrible. And if you don't have, you don't expect challenging conditions, and you're trying to get the lightest possible pack weight, these will work for you. They are, like both of these titanium stakes, are expensive. So that is the one sort of downside with these, is that it's cost associated. These are going to be more expensive than, frankly, any of the other stakes on the table here. Now, if you're just getting into camping and backpacking and you're not really interested in spending, the money for titanium stakes, you don't care so much about the super lightweight, even aluminum stakes, then this is really, frankly, the right choice for you. And these are MSR Groundhogs, and they're also known as Y stakes. And if you can look at the end, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but if you look at the end, it looks kind of like a Y. And the value to that is two things. It really addresses both of the problems that these little thin stakes have. It's much stronger because it's got sort of these 3 tines, and also because there's this wide channel on all sides here, so no matter what direction this is pulled, it's going to be pulling against a lot of material in the ground, which means it's going to anchor very, very well in most conditions. So I think for most general purpose camping in most conditions, if you are looking at a stake like this, you really want to end up more with a stake like this. You can buy these or the knockoff equivalent for not very much money. It's a small investment, and it really is, frankly, I think, worth it, because nobody wants to be dealing with their tent falling apart at 2 in the morning. That's just no fun. Now, going up from this, these are, I think they're called MSR Hurricane stakes, I believe they're called, or Typhoon stakes or something. I don't know, but I don't remember the marketing term. But these, a couple companies make these. These are basically like almost like a ring shank nail, just blown up to almost cartoon proportions to create this incredibly strong stake. Now, this is really for camping in the wintertime, camping above the tree line, camping in very, very adverse conditions where you really need your stakes to really hold up, and you're just worried that even this, which is a really quite good stake, just might not be enough for you. I don't carry these very often, certainly not in good weather. But if I'm not really sure what I'm going to encounter, and I'm going to be up particularly at high altitude, sometimes these will come with me because I know if the soil is good enough that I can drive these in, they are not coming out. And so if I need a very, very secure anchor point in really lousy adverse conditions, that's going to provide this. But again, most of the time, most people don't need these, and I rarely use them. So I think they're a little bit of overkill most of the time. These, however, are not overkill, and these are specialty stakes. These are snow/sand stakes. And camping in both of those surfaces presents unique problems, which frankly none of the stakes other than these are going to be very good at. Sand is slippery. It doesn't have a lot of adhesion, and so in order to get a good grip, you really need to take, the surface area of this and just explode it out so that it's enormously big like this. And this much wider stake is going to hold in snow. It's going to hold in sand in ways none of these other stakes will. I've used these. I use these both for camping at the beach. Also, if you have one of those beach shelters, I've seen beach shelters, I swear, they come with these stakes. It's like, what are you even thinking? It's like you're destined to fail. This is not an adequate stake for the sand. It's not adequate, frankly, for anything. Go ahead and buy yourself a set of these specialty sand stakes. This little hole here is to do what's called a dead man setup, where what you do is you tie the guy line around this, and then you bury it like it's a little man in the ground, and then you cover it over so you actually have more than just the normal amount of sand or snow in front of it. You actually have piled extra on, and so that gives you a really tremendous hold. So if you're camping at the beach or you're camping in the snow, go ahead and buy yourself these specialty stakes. I was skeptical of them the first time, but then I used them and I was like, wow, these actually really work. So this is something you probably do want if you're camping at the beach. Anyway, so hopefully that information is helpful to you, and have a nice afternoon. Thanks, everybody.